biggest mystery in the Idaho student murders isn't just who did it, but the questions that remain even after a confession. What if I told you that despite a guilty plea and life sentences, there are still pieces of this puzzle that don't quite fit? What if I told you that just hours after committing one of the most brutal crimes in recent history, the person responsible took a selfie, grinning and giving a thumbs up? Tonight, we're diving deeper than anyone has gone before into the Idaho 4 case. And I'm going to show you details that were left out, facts that were misreported, and questions that still haunt investigators. This is the complete, unfiltered truth about Bryan Kohberger and the night that changed everything. But before we uncover these hidden truths, I need you to understand something. What you're about to hear isn't the sanitized version you've seen on mainstream media. This is deep investigative journalism that took weeks of research, fact-checking, and verification. If you value truth over headlines, if you want the complete story without the sensationalism, then you belong here at Dark Trail Files. Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications because we're committed to bringing you cases solved with accuracy, integrity, and respect for the victims. So your subscription actually matters. Now, let's get into the details that everyone else got wrong. Let me start by correcting something that has been widely misreported across countless videos and articles. The layout of the house at 1122 King Road has been described incorrectly so many times that it's become accepted as fact. But the truth matters, especially when we're talking about understanding how these tragic events unfolded. The house was a 3-story rental home with 6 bedrooms. Here's the actual layout. On the first floor, the lowest level, were the bedrooms of Dylan Mortensen and Bethany Funk, the 2 roommates who survived that night. The second floor contained the kitchen, living areas, and the bedroom of Xana Kernodle. The third floor, the top level, had the bedrooms of both Kaylee Goncalves and Madison Mogen. This detail isn't just about getting facts straight, it's crucial to understanding the sequence of events and the questions that still linger. November 12th, 2022 started as an ordinary Saturday night in Moscow, Idaho. The University of Idaho campus was alive with the typical energy of a college weekend. Students were out, enjoying their youth, unaware that for 4 of them, this would be their final night. Kaylee Goncalves and Madison Mogen, best friends since childhood, went to a local bar called the Corner Club. These two had been inseparable for over a decade, their friendship the kind that people spend lifetimes searching for. Meanwhile, Xana Kernodle and her boyfriend Ethan Chapin attended a party at the Sigma Chi fraternity house. Ethan, a freshman with his whole life ahead of him, was beloved by everyone who knew him for his kind heart and gentle nature. Around 1:30 a.m., Kaylee and Maddie left the bar and made their way to a food truck called the Grub Wandering Kitchen. Surveillance footage captured them there, waiting for their pasta order, laughing and talking with other students. They appeared happy, carefree, completely unaware that someone may have been watching them. By 1:45 a.m., the roommates had all returned to 1122 King Road. Kaylee and Maddie went up to the 3rd floor, settling into Maddie's bedroom. Phone records show they made multiple calls to Kaylee's ex-boyfriend between 2:26 a.m. and 2:52 a.m. Xana and Ethan were on the 2nd floor in Xana's room. At approximately 4 a.m., Xana ordered food through DoorDash. The delivery driver would arrive minutes later, becoming an unwitting witness to events that would soon unfold. Dylan and Bethany were on the 1st floor in their respective bedrooms. The house settled into the quiet of early morning. But at approximately 4 a.m., as that DoorDash order was being delivered, a white Hyundai Elantra was making its way toward King Road. The vehicle had been in the area before, multiple times in fact, circling, watching, waiting. What happened next has been reconstructed through forensic evidence, witness statements, and digital footprints. But here's what most people don't know. There are elements of this case that don't add up, details that suggest we may not have the complete picture even now. According to investigators and court documents, an intruder entered the home through a sliding glass door on the 2nd floor at approximately 4:04 a.m. The attack began on the 3rd floor, where Kaylee and Maddie were sleeping together in Maddie's bed. Both young women were attacked with what investigators determined to be a large, fixed blade, K-bar style knife. But here's where the first question emerges. Kaylee's mother has stated that the coroner told her family that Kaylee was trapped, that she was pinned in the bed. This suggests that Maddie may have been attacked first, and Kaylee, waking up to find herself beside her dying best friend, tried to defend herself, but had nowhere to go. The defensive wounds on both victims tell a story of a fight for survival, of two young women who refused to go quietly. A critical piece of evidence was left behind in that room, a knife sheath. The K-bar style sheath, lying next to the victims, would become the most important piece of physical evidence in the entire case. On the button snap of that sheath was DNA, touched DNA from skin cells transferred when someone handled it. That DNA would eventually lead investigators directly to Bryan Kohberger. But the knife itself? It has never been found. From the third floor, the intruder moved to the second floor, to Xana's room. Here's another detail that's been misunderstood. Xana was awake. She had just received her DoorDash order moments before. According to police records, investigators believe Xana may have been on TikTok when she heard something. She's believed to have said, "Someone's here," words that Ethan likely heard as his final warning before the attack. Both Xana and Ethan fought back. The forensic evidence shows what investigators have described as an intense struggle. Ethan's injuries were particularly brutal. His lower legs were specifically carved with the blade, a detail that speaks to the savagery of the attack. These weren't passive victims. They fought with everything they had. But against an intruder with a large blade and the element of surprise, their brave resistance wasn't enough. During this attack, the intruder left behind another crucial piece of evidence, a latent footprint. This impression, likely from a shoe, was found at the crime scene and would later be analyzed by forensic experts. The discovery came hours later, at 11:58 a.m., when one of the surviving roommates made a call that would set in motion one of the most intensive investigations in Idaho's history. The audio of that call reveals the confusion and horror of that moment.
13/2022. 911 location of your emergency.
Something is happening. Something happened in our house. We don't know what.
What is the address of the emergency?
1122.
What is the rest of the address?
Oh, Kings Road.
Okay. And is that a house or an apartment?
It's a house.
Can you repeat the address to make sure that I have it right?
I'll talk to you guys. We live at the White, so we're next to them.
I need someone to repeat the address for verification.
The address, 1122 King Road.
And what's the phone number that you're calling from?
What's your phone number?
And tell me exactly what's going on.
One of the roommates has passed out, and she was drunk last night and she's not waking up.
Okay.
Oh, and they saw some man in their house last night. Yeah.
And are you with the patient? Okay, I need someone to keep the phone, stop passing it around.
Can I just tell you what happened pretty much?
What is going on currently? Is someone passed out right now?
I don't really know, but pretty much at 4 a.m.
Okay, I need to know what's going on right now if someone is passed out. Can you find that out?
Yeah, I'll come. Come on, but we gotta go check. But we have to. Is it Costco? What's wrong? She's not waking up.
Okay, one moment. I'm getting help started that way.
Okay, thank you. What's wrong?
Okay, and how old is she?
She's 20.
20, you said?
Yes, 20 years old.
Okay.
Hello? Hello?
Okay, I need someone to stop passing the phone around because I've talked to 4 different people.
Hey, sorry, they just gave me the phone.
Is she breathing?
Hello?
Is she breathing?
No.
Okay.
Talk to them, okay? I can't talk to them. They need you to talk to them.
Hello.
Okay. I've already sent the ambulance and law enforcement. Stay on the line. If there is a defibrillator available, send someone to get it now and tell me when you have it.
Say that again? There's the police here right now.
Okay. If there's a defibrillator available, send someone to get it now and tell me when you have it.
We don't have it. Do you have a defibrillator? Yes, we have one.
Are you talking to the officer?
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to let you go since he's there with you and can help you.
Okay, thank you. Bye.
Okay.
11:59 a.m.
Now, let's talk about something that has generated endless speculation and, frankly, unfair criticism toward the surviving roommates. Dylan Mortensen was on the first floor during the attacks. According to her statement to police, she was awakened around 4 a.m. by what she thought was Kaylee playing with her dog. She heard crying and then a male voice say, "It's okay, I'm going to help you." Dylan opened her bedroom door and saw nothing. She heard crying again and then opened her door once more. This time, she saw a figure dressed in all black with a black ski mask covering most of his face, leaving only his eyebrows visible. She described him as approximately 5 feet 10 inches tall, not very muscular, with bushy eyebrows. The figure walked past her toward the sliding glass door, and Dylan, frozen in shock, closed her door and locked it. Here's the question everyone asks. Why didn't she call 911 immediately? And here's the answer that requires understanding trauma. Dylan was a 19-year-old college student who had just seen a masked intruder in her home. She was in shock, possibly in denial about what she had witnessed. It's easy to judge from the safety of hindsight, but psychological research consistently shows that trauma responses are not logical or predictable. Some people fight, some flee, some freeze. Dylan's response was human, understandable, and she should not bear the burden of blame for what a criminal chose to do. When Dylan finally had the opportunity to speak in court, her words revealed the immense weight she had carried, the survivor's guilt, and the unfair scrutiny she had endured.
Next is Dylan Mortensen. We're asking for some accommodations for Miss Mortensen and that she be allowed to sit in my seat.
Sure. Dylan, just take your time, all right?
Sorry.
Thank you, Your Honor. What happened that night changed everything. Because of him, 4 beautiful, genuine, compassionate people were taken from this world for no reason. He didn't just take their lives. He took the light they carried it into every room. He took away how they made everyone feel safe, loved, and full of joy. He took away the ability for me to tell them that I love them and that I'm so proud of them. He took away who they were becoming and the futures they were going to have. He took away birthdays, graduations, celebrations, and all the memories that we were supposed to make. All of it is gone. And all the people who loved them are just left to carry that weight forever. He didn't just take them from the world, he took them from me, my friends, my people who felt like my home, the people I looked up to and adored more than anyone. He took away my ability to trust the world around me. What he did shattered me in places I didn't know could break. I was barely 19 when he did this. We had just celebrated my birthday at the end of September. I should have been figuring out who I was. I should have been having the college experience and starting to establish my future. Instead, I was forced to learn how to survive the unimaginable. I couldn't be alone. I had to sleep in my mom's bed because I was too terrified to close my eyes. Terrified that if I blinked, someone might be there. I made escape plans everywhere I went. If something happens, how do I get out? What can I use to defend myself? Who can help? And then there are the panic attacks. The kind that slam into me like a tsunami out of nowhere. I can't breathe. I can't think. I can't stop shaking. All I can do is scream because the emotional pain and the grief is too much to handle. My chest feels like it's caving in. Sometimes I drop to the floor with my heart racing, convinced something is very wrong. It's far beyond anxiety. It's my body reliving everything over and over again. My nervous system never got the message that it is over, and it won't let me forget what he did to them. People call me strong. They say I'm a survivor, but they don't see what my new reality looks like. They don't see the panic attacks, the hypervigilance, the exhaustion, the way I scan every room I enter, the way I flinch at sudden sounds. They don't know how heavy it is to carry so much pain and still be expected to keep going, and that's because of him. He stole parts of me I may never get back. He took the version of me who didn't constantly ask, what if it happens again? What if next time I don't survive? He may have shattered parts of me, but I'm still putting myself back together. Piece by piece, I'm learning how to live in this new version of life. It is not easy. It hurts, but I'm still trying. Still trying, and I'm not trying just for me. I'm trying for them, my friends. About a year ago, I had a dream about them. I got to say goodbye. I told them I won't be able to see you again, so I need to tell you goodbye. They all kept asking why, and all I could say was, I can't tell you, but I have to. When I woke up, I felt shattered and heartbroken, but also strangely grateful. Like maybe in some way that dream gave us the goodbye we never got. Still, no dream can replace them, and no goodbye will ever feel finished. He is a hollow vessel, something less than human. A body without empathy, without remorse. He chose destruction. He chose evil. He feels nothing. He tried to take everything from me. My friends, my safety, my identity, my future. He took their lives, but I will continue trying to be like them, to make them proud. Living is how I honor them. Speaking today is to help me find some sort of justice for them. And I will never let him take that from me. He may have taken so much from me, but he will never, get to take my voice. He will never take the memories I had with them. He will never erase the love we shared, the laughs we had, or the way they made me feel seen and whole. Those things are mine. They are sacred, and he will never touch them. I get to feel sadness. I get to feel rage. I get to feel joy even when it's hard. I get to feel love even when it hurts. I get to live. And while I will still live with this pain, at least I get to live my life. He will stay here, empty, forgotten, and powerless.
Dylan, thank you so much for your courage.
Bethany Funk, the other surviving roommate, has largely stayed out of the public eye. When her impact statement was read in court, it provided a glimpse into the lasting trauma experienced by those who survived.
My name is Bethany Funk, and I was roommates with Maddie, Kaylee, Xana, and Ethan. I not only lost some of my best friends, but I also lost a sister. Never in a million years would I have thought that something like this would have happened to my closest friends. Xana was 1 in a million. She was the life of the party, but she was also the kindest and funniest person I knew. Everyone loved her because she made everyone feel so loved.
In the investigation's early days, police interviewed both surviving roommates extensively. The interrogation footage shows the careful, sensitive approach investigators used while trying to gather crucial information. But while the survivors were dealing with unimaginable trauma, and while 4 families were beginning to comprehend their devastating loss, what was Bryan Kohberger doing? Here's where the story becomes even more disturbing. Just hours after the attacks, at approximately 9:12 a.m. on November 13th, less than 5 hours after 4 people had been killed, Bryan Kohberger was captured on surveillance cameras at a local Costco. He attempted to enter, but was turned away because he didn't have a membership card. He then went to an Albertsons grocery store. Surveillance footage shows him appearing completely calm and normal, browsing, shopping as if nothing had happened. But it gets worse. Sometime that morning, Bryan Kohberger took a selfie. In this photo, he's grinning, giving a thumbs up, looking pleased with himself. This image, discovered later by investigators, provides a chilling window into his state of mind just hours after committing one of the most brutal crimes in recent history. There's no remorse, no distress, no indication that anything unusual had occurred. At approximately 5:30 a.m. that morning, about 90 minutes after the attacks, phone records show that Kohberger called his father. The content of that conversation has never been publicly disclosed, but the timing is significant. What does someone say to their parent an hour and a half after committing quadruple homicide? The investigation that followed was massive in scope, but for over a month, investigators didn't even have Bryan Kohberger's name. The lead detective wouldn't hear his name mentioned until December 19th, 2022, more than a month after the killings. So how did they finally identify him? The answer lies in the most crucial piece of evidence left at the scene. The breakthrough came through that knife sheath. Investigators sent the DNA sample found on the button snap to be analyzed. The DNA profile was substantial, described by experts as an amazing sample, far more DNA than initially reported. Forensic teams worked through Thanksgiving to process it. But when they ran it through CODIS, the combined DNA index system that contains DNA profiles of convicted criminals, there was no match. Bryan Kohberger had never been arrested before. His DNA wasn't in the system. So investigators turned to genetic genealogy, the same technique that caught the Golden State Killer. They used the DNA to build a family tree, tracing genetic relatives until they could narrow down to a specific individual. This led them to Bryan Kohberger. But who was Bryan Kohberger? His background reveals a complex individual with troubling patterns. He was a 28-year-old PhD student in criminal justice and criminology at Washington State University, located just a short drive across the state line in Pullman, Washington. Here was someone who had dedicated his academic career to studying criminal behavior, someone who should have been helping to solve crimes, not commit them. He had completed his undergraduate degree at DeSales University in Pennsylvania, earning a bachelor's in psychology in 2020. He then completed a master's in criminal justice at the same institution in 2022 before moving to Washington State to pursue his PhD. Former classmates have described him as intelligent but socially awkward, with an intense and sometimes unsettling interest in violent crimes. One former student recalled Kohberger asking detailed questions about how criminals choose their victims, how they avoid detection, and how forensic evidence is collected and analyzed. He had applied to join the Pullman Police Department as a volunteer. He completed a survey as part of his academic research that asked convicted criminals about their thoughts and feelings during and after committing crimes. He was literally studying the mindset of killers. But there's another disturbing detail that emerged. Kohberger had been active on dating apps, including Tinder. According to police reports, at least one woman stopped communicating with him because his questions made her uncomfortable. The nature of those questions hasn't been fully disclosed, but investigators took note of this pattern of behavior. The investigation into Kohberger intensified rapidly once he was identified. Authorities discovered he drove a white 2015 Hyundai Elantra, matching witness descriptions of a vehicle seen near the scene around the time of the murders. Surveillance footage from a night of the murders showed a white Elantra making multiple passes by the house on King Road between 3:29 a.m. and 4:20 a.m. But here's what's truly chilling. Investigators discovered that Kohberger's phone had been in the vicinity of the King Road house multiple times before the murders. At least 12 separate occasions. The phone would leave its usual location, travel to the area near the house, linger, and then return. This pattern of behavior suggested surveillance, planning, and obsession. Cell tower data also revealed that on the night of the murders, Kohberger's phone left his apartment in Pullman around 2:47 a.m. and traveled toward Moscow. The phone was then turned off or placed in airplane mode during the time of the attacks. It didn't ping towers again until approximately 4:48 a.m., when it was heading south, away from Moscow. This digital silence during the critical time window suggests deliberate planning and an awareness of digital forensics. On December 30th, 2022, Bryan Kohberger was arrested at his parents' home in Pennsylvania. He had driven there with his father for winter break, a cross-country trip that law enforcement monitored closely. During that trip, they were pulled over twice for minor traffic violations. These traffic stops, captured on body camera footage, gave investigators the opportunity to observe Kohberger's behavior and demeanor just weeks after the murders. The footage shows a calm, cooperative individual showing no obvious signs of distress.
I am Officer Loangus. Stops being audio and video recorded. I think you know why I stopped you. You ran the red light.
What actually happened was I was stuck in the middle of the intersection.
Yeah,
so
I was behind you the whole time. Yeah.
Yeah.
So technically you're not supposed to enter the intersection at all for that reason, because if the light turns red, then you're stuck in the intersection, and then you run the red light. So that's the reason I stopped you. Do you have your license on you?
Yep. Let me just get this for you out.
You what?
I'm just going to get this out for you.
Okay.
Would you explain that to me a little bit further? So in Pennsylvania, when you're stuck like in their intersection, you have to make the left. So what would the appropriate thing for me to have done? Just
you're not supposed to block an intersection like that in Washington. So just by you blocking the intersection, that's technically a ticketable violation, and then you're running a red light, so it's another ticketable offense. So you're not supposed to proceed into the intersection until you can go, because a lot of people do what you just did, right? It's like you're sitting in the intersection waiting, and then turns, and then you're blocking. So
yeah, there was a little bit of confusion with speeding because someone had stopped. I wasn't sure what they were doing, and then they put on their light to turn. So I thought that maybe they were letting me go through.
Oh.
Did you see that?
No.
Yeah, like right before I made the turn, there was someone who like made a right. They didn't have their signal on, so I wasn't sure if they were just waiting.
Yeah, so I would just advise just don't enter the intersection until you can go, so you don't get stuck. Let's see.
But in that situation, the best thing to do then would be back up and not.
I don't know if there's a best thing to do in that situation, because you're either going to back up into somebody, or you're going to run a red light. So, or you're going to be sitting in an intersection. There's not really a great option there.
Yeah, I was just sliding into the crosswalk, so, yeah, where I'm from Pennsylvania, we actually don't have like crosswalks.
Oh,
so even if you're kind of slightly, there's a little bit more leeway as well. Like there are a few lines. Like there's one white line and then there's another one in front. Like there's like a certain margin from which you can actually kind of put your vehicle, place your vehicle.
Yeah. So I know laws vary state to state, but there is a law in Washington for blocking an intersection like that, proceeding through, and you don't when you're just stalling. I forget the actual verbiage. I can find it for you, but it's like stalling, blocking an intersection.
Yeah, I'm just curious about the law. I don't mean to.
Oh no, yeah, I can find it for you. Yeah.
But,
1 second. That looks good on a Hyundai. I don't see Pennsylvania registration like at all. Okay, let's see. Okay. So I'm not writing a ticket or anything like that today. I understand you're from Pennsylvania, but in the future, don't proceed through the intersection. You can't get stopped for that alone unless you can clearly just clear it right away.
Okay.
So
then basically, I understand.
You're just supposed to wait behind the white line. Drivers do it all the time, but
it never even occurred to me that was actually something wrong. But well, except for the fact that I was blocking the crosswalk, which is what I went through.
And states vary from laws like Pennsylvania might not even have that law, but in Washington we do.
I'm actually just from a very rural area, so we just don't have crosswalks.
Oh.
Unless I visit an area where there are crosswalks, and then it's not very frequent.
Yeah.
I do apologize if I was asking you too many questions about the law. I wasn't trying to
No, not at all. Like I understand you're not from here, so if you don't, a lot of people don't know a bunch of laws. Like I only know it because this is what I do, but yeah. If you're ever curious on any more laws, just RCW, and they can be hard to read because it's in like legal language, but hope that helps.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Hello, how you doing? How y'all doing? Good. Take your driver's license real quick if I could. See, he's right up on the van, man. He's right up on the back of that van. Over for tailgating. Is this your car? Okay, cool. Where you headed?
Well, we're coming from WSU, and we're standing.
What's WSU?
University, basically. That is SWAT team area.
So I'm having a hard time reading because of the traffic. So you're coming from Washington State University, and you're going there? Oh.
We're going to be going to Pennsylvania.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So we're slightly mentioning his driving hours.
Hours, days.
Well,
okay.
When authorities searched Kohberger's apartment in Pullman, they found it meticulously clean, almost sterile. His car was also extremely clean, both inside and out, which investigators found suspicious given that it was winter and he had just completed a cross-country drive. The level of cleaning suggested a deliberate effort to remove potential forensic evidence. They also discovered receipts showing he had purchased cleaning supplies shortly after the murders. The evidence against Kohberger was substantial and multifaceted. The DNA on the knife sheath, the cell phone data placing him at the scene, the surveillance footage of his vehicle, the eyewitness description from Dylan Mortensen matching his appearance, the pattern of surveillance visits to the area, the timing of his phone being turned off, the suspicious cleaning of his apartment and vehicle. All of it pointed to one person, Bryan Christopher Kohberger. But here's where the case gets complicated, where questions emerge that haven't been fully answered. If Kohberger was this calculated, this careful, why did he leave a knife sheath behind? Why did he return to the area multiple times afterward? Was he acting alone? And most importantly, what was his motive? When Kohberger made his first court appearance, the world watched closely, trying to read any sign of emotion or remorse. What they saw was a man who appeared calm, detached, almost clinical in his demeanor.
Mr. Kohberger is in custody. He is appearing here in court with his attorneys, Ms. Taylor, Mr. Logsdon, Mr. Thompson, Ms. Jennings appearing on behalf of the state. This is the time set in the matter for the preliminary hearing status conference. So I am going to inquire. And Mr. Thompson, are you in agreement with that?
The state has no objection to that, Your Honor. And Ms. Taylor reached out to us by email yesterday with her proposal. On reflection, the state's calendar would be better in the month of July, but we will make the end of June work if that's the court's preference. And I haven't had a chance to talk to Ms. Taylor about that. I'm sorry, I know that's last minute.
That's okay. The court's calendar is going to be better towards the end of June, early July. So would that work, Ms. Taylor, for your scheduling on your other matters?
Your Honor, yes. If we take that fourth week in June, that's actually best.
Okay. So, Mr. Kohberger, I need to speak to you for a moment then. Sir, you do understand, have you had enough time to speak with Ms. Taylor about your decision to waive your right to a speedy preliminary hearing?
Yes.
Do you need any additional time to do so?
No.
Then I will ask at this time, as to the 5 counts, felony counts that were charged in the criminal complaint that was filed on December 29th of 2022. Beginning Monday, June 26th at 9:00 a.m. And I will go ahead and reserve the week, so June 26th to June 30th. In the event that we need all 5 days for presentation of evidence. And just so council knows, it will begin at 9 a.m. each of those days. Is there anything further to address at this time in the case, Mr. Thompson?
Not from the state's perspective, Your Honor, no.
All right. Or Ms. Taylor?
No, Your Honor. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Kohberger, then you will be remanded into custody on your same no bail at this point in time, pending further proceedings. Again, we'll send notice out to council, and we will be in recess for this morning.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Throughout 2023 and into 2024, the legal proceedings moved forward. Kohberger entered a not guilty plea initially, and his defense team fought vigorously against the death penalty. They argued that the evidence was circumstantial, that there was no clear motive, and that executing him would serve no purpose beyond vengeance. The prosecution maintained that the evidence was overwhelming. They pointed to the DNA, the cell phone data, the surveillance footage, and witness testimony. They argued that the calculated nature of the crimes, the multiple victims, and the apparent lack of remorse warranted the ultimate punishment. As hearings continued, each appearance provided more insight into the case and the evidence that would be presented. The legal maneuvering on both sides revealed the complexity of pursuing a death penalty case. But behind the scenes, negotiations were taking place. The reality of Idaho's death penalty process was becoming clear. Even if Kohberger was sentenced to death, the appeals process could take decades. The case would remain in the public eye indefinitely, preventing the families from finding any measure of peace or closure. The families themselves were divided. Some wanted the death penalty, believing it was the only just punishment for someone who had taken 4 innocent lives. Others, exhausted by the lengthy process and the constant media attention, began to consider whether life without parole might be the better outcome. Then, in a move that shocked many observers, Bryan Kohberger made a decision that would change everything. But even his guilty plea would leave questions unanswered and speculation swirling. On July 2nd, 2025, Bryan Kohberger accepted a plea agreement. He would plead guilty to 4 counts of first-degree murder and 1 count of burglary in exchange for the prosecution dropping the death penalty. He would be sentenced to 4 consecutive life sentences without the possibility of parole, plus an additional 10 years for burglary. The sentencing hearing on July 23rd, 2025 was emotional and intense, with families finally getting the opportunity to speak directly to the man who had destroyed their lives.
Now it's been Mogen, Maddie Mogen's father.
I'm Benjamin Mogen. I'm Maddie's dad. And first I just want to say thanks to all the people that helped bring this all to a close. I know it's not the resolution that everyone, wanted, but I think that that everyone worked so hard, and we really appreciate all their efforts. It was such a hard thing to go through for everybody. Maddie was my only child that I ever had. She's the only great thing I ever really did, and the only thing I was really ever proud of. And I thought we would have the rest of our lives together to be together and to know each other, and I took for granted the times she was in college, and I thought, oh well, we'll have the rest of our lives to do all the stuff that we're supposed to do, and she was just about done. She actually earned all of her credits for her college degree, and Karen and Scotty and I got to go and get her diploma that she actually earned, and she served every bit of that. And but I thought that was going to be just the beginning of a long life together, and we never got that. Karen and Scotty did such a great job raising her after Karen and I split up, and I'm so thankful for Scotty and the role that he played in her life when I wasn't able to. But we got to spend a lot of great times together, Maddie and I. She was my favorite person to go to a concert with. We got to see some fun shows together, and I told her, if there's ever a show that you want to go to, let me know, and I'll get you tickets for you and your friend, or if we want to go together, we'll make it happen. And my favorite memory with her was when the Mac Miller show sold out here in Spokane, and everyone wanted tickets, no one could get them, and on the last day before the show, they did a radio thing, and I got 4 meet and greet tickets for Maddie and her friends, and me to go and see the show, and that was her favorite artist at the time, was Mac Miller, and he's gone now too, and my little cousin Zach drove us all there that night, and he's gone too, tragically, and anyway, the last thing that she ever wrote to me was this Father's Day card, and I'm so glad I still have it. I'm just going to read what she said. It says, "Happy Father's Day. I hope you have the best day. I can't wait till we can hang out again soon. I'll be in Coeur d'Alene 6:24 to 7:4. Hopefully we can find a time then. I love your birthday card that you sent me, by the way. Maybe we can see a concert sometime soon. I'd love to see the gorge when it's not so smoky out. I hope you're doing well. I'm proud of how far you've come. Thank you for always encouraging me to do my best. Love you lots and lots. Love, Maddie May." she did encourage me to not just to do my best, but to live on. I went through a lot of issues with addiction and with substance abuse, and when I wasn't wanting to live anymore, she was what would keep me from just not caring anymore, and knowing that she was out there and that she was just such a beautiful person kept me alive a lot of rough moments, and I'm so glad that she was able to meet Jake. He was the only one that I actually ever got to take her to the gorge. They went and saw Watershed together, and yeah, they had a heck of a time. I'm glad she got to. That's a really special place for me, and she always wanted to work out there with me in the summer sometime. She never got to, but at least she got to see it once with Jake. He was such a great guy. He is such a great guy. And I really wanted to see what a future with them would have looked like. I'll never be able to replace her. I wrote a bunch of stuff. I just don't know what to say right now. I just miss her so much, and I just love her more than anything. And this shouldn't have happened. And a death sentence is one thing. When it's going to happen, and it's going to be all gentle and stuff. But life without parole, with a building full of people that all just want you to not be around anymore, and winking at every morning, not knowing if that's the day they're going to pull your card. I mean, it's not a very nice sentence either. So, I don't know. I just love you, Maddie, and I wish you were still here.
When Kohberger entered his guilty plea, he showed no visible emotion. He answered the judge's questions in a flat, matter-of-fact tone, acknowledging his guilt but offering no explanation, no apology, no insight into why he had committed these horrific acts. Kaylee's sister Olivia delivered one of the most powerful victim impact statements, her words cutting through the courtroom with raw emotion and righteous anger.
Hello, I'd like to start by thanking the court for allowing me the time and opportunity to speak today. My name is Olivia, and I'm the big sister of Kaylee Goncalves, and I was blessed to love Madison Mogen as a sister too. I'm not here today to speak in grief, I'm here to speak in truth. Because the truth is, my sister Kaylee and her best friend Maddie were not yours to take. They were not yours to study, to stalk, or to silence. They were two pieces of a whole, the perfect yin and yang. They are everything that you could never be. Loved, accepted, vibrant, accomplished, brave, and powerful. Because the truth about Kaylee and Maddie is they would have been kind to you. If you had approached them in their everyday lives, they would have given you directions, thanked you for the compliment, or awkwardly giggled to make your own words less uncomfortable for you. In a world that rejected you, they would have shown mercy. Because the truth is, I'm angry. Every day I'm angry. I'm left shouting at the inside of my own head everything I wish I could say to you. The truth about me is when I heard the news, I didn't cry. I listened for them. I promised them I would, that I would fight for them, that I would show up no matter what it cost me. I swore I'd never let them feel alone. Because you see, I've always been their heavyweight. I've always been the one to fight the battles they didn't feel ready to fight themselves. All it ever took was a call, and they knew I would handle it for them, no matter the time, no matter the cost. They could wave their white flag because they knew I would never back down, not for them. And not even death could change that. Somewhere along the line, I started to think about what I would say to them if I was given just one last chance. If I could gather enough heartbreak or love or sacrifice or whatever it took to get just one message across, what would I say? Throughout this entire process, I've written my feelings down at every moment, my wishes, my love, my denial, my anger. And as one final act of love, I'd planned to read these thoughts, even jarring and discombobulating and not even making sense. Because for me, that was true love. As bare and as naked as it could be, not laced in pretty words or dressed for the occasion, but written through bleary eyes at 2 a.m. with clenched fists, angry at this reality. My true final act of love was to continue on without them, for them. That dream to read aloud my love to them, to bring meaning through pain, was the latest blow in realizing you don't deserve it. And Kaylee and Maddie don't need it. Kaylee and Maddie have always known my love, and they would never ask me to prove it by further victimizing myself to a defendant who has shown no guilt, no remorse, no apprehension. They would say to me, "Why would you give the satisfaction of showing vulnerability now? You promised you would never back down." And for that clarity, I'm thankful. I won't stand here and give you what you want. I won't offer you tears. I won't offer you trembling. Disappointments like you thrive on pain, on fear, and on the illusion of power. And I won't feed your beast. Instead, I will call you what you are. Sociopath, psychopath, murderer. I will ask the questions that reverberate violently in my own head, so loudly that I can't think straight most any day. Some of these might be familiar, so sit up straight when I talk to you. How was your life right before you murdered my sisters? Did you prepare for the crime before leaving your apartment? Please detail what you were thinking and feeling at this time. Why did you choose my sisters? Before making your move, did you approach my sisters? Detail what you were thinking and feeling. Before leaving their home, is there anything else you did? How does it feel to know the only thing you failed more miserably at than being a murderer is trying to be a rapper? Did you recently start shaving or manually pulling out your eyebrows? Why November 13th? Did you truly think your Amazon purchase was untraceable because you used a gift card? How do you find it enjoyable to stargaze with such a severe case of visual snow? Where is the murder weapon? The clothes you wore that night? What did you bring into the house with you? What was the second weapon you used on Kaylee? What were Kaylee's last words? Please describe in detail the level of anxiety you must have felt when you heard the Bearcat pull up to your family home on December 30th, 2022. Which do you regret more? Returning to the crime scene 5 hours later, or never, ever going back to Moscow, not even once, after stalking them there for months? If you were really smart, do you think you'd be here right now? What's it like needing this much attention just to feel real? You're terrified of being ordinary, aren't you? Do you feel anything at all? Or are you exactly what you always feared? Nothing. If you're so powerful, then why are you still hiding, defendant? You see, I'm here today as me. But who are you? Let's try to take off your mask and see. You didn't create devastation. You revealed it in yourself. And that darkness you carry, that emptiness, you'll sit with it long after this is over. That is your sentence. And it was written on the wall long before you ever pled guilty. You didn't win. You just exposed yourself as the coward you are. You're a delusional, pathetic, hypochondriac loser who thought you were so much smarter than everybody else. Constantly scolding, turning your nose up to grammar mistakes, nitpicking and criticizing others. You wanted so badly to be different, to be special, to be better, to be deep, to be mysterious. You found yourself thinking you were better than everyone else, and you thought you could figure out the human psyche and see through it, all while tweaked out on heroin. Lurking in the shadows made you feel powerful because no one ever paid you any attention in the light. You thought you were exceptional, all because of a grade on a paper. You thought you were elite because your online IQ test from 2010 told you so. All of that effort just to seem important. It's desperate. There is a name for your condition, though. Your inflated ego just didn't allow you to see it. Wannabe. You act like no one could ever understand your mind, but the truth is you're basic. You're a textbook case of insecurity disguised as control. Your patterns are predictable. Your motives are shallow. You are not profound. You're pathetic. You aren't special or deep, not mysterious or exceptional. Don't ever get it twisted again. No one is scared of you today. No one is intimidated by you. No one is impressed by you. No one thinks that you are important. You orchestrated this like you thought you were God. Now look at you, begging a courtroom for scraps. You spent months preparing, and still all it took was my sister in a sheath. You work so hard to seem dangerous, but real control doesn't have to prove itself. The truth is, the scariest part about you is how painfully average you turned out to be. The truth is, you're as dumb as they come. Stupid, clumsy, slow, sloppy, weak, dirty. Let me be very clear. Don't ever try to convince yourself you mattered just because someone finally said your name out loud. I see through you. You want the truth? Here's the one you'll hate the most. If you hadn't attacked them in their sleep, in the middle of the night, like a pedophile, Kaylee would have kicked your fucking ass. Thank you.
Thank you.
The full sentencing hearing revealed the depth of pain experienced by the families and the community, as speaker after speaker described the irreplaceable loss they had suffered. The victim impact statements were heart-wrenching. Family members spoke about the dreams that would never be fulfilled, the graduations that would never happen, the weddings that would never be celebrated, the grandchildren who would never be born. They spoke about the daily struggle to find meaning and purpose in a world that no longer made sense. Kaylee's father, Steve Goncalves, spoke about his daughter's fierce spirit and her plans for the future. Madison's family remembered her infectious laugh and her dreams of working in fashion. Xana's loved ones shared memories of her kindness and her determination to make a difference in the world. Ethan's family mourned the loss of a young man who had barely begun to live. But even with the guilty plea and the sentencing, questions remain. Investigators have stated that they don't have a clear motive. Kohberger has never explained why he targeted this house, these victims. Did he know them? Had he been following them? Was one person specifically targeted, with the others being in the wrong place at the wrong time? The fact that Kohberger's phone had pinged near the house on at least 12 previous occasions suggests surveillance and planning. But surveillance of what? The house? Specific individuals? Investigators have stated that Kaylee had mentioned feeling like she had a stalker in the months before her death. Was that Kohberger? Or someone else entirely? And here's another question that deserves attention. Dylan Mortensen described seeing one person, a single male intruder. The prosecution's case was built around Kohberger acting alone. But is it possible that he wasn't alone? Could there have been an accomplice who stayed outside, who helped plan but didn't participate directly in the attacks? The forensic evidence suggests a single attacker based on the knife wounds and the DNA evidence found at the scene. But the speed and efficiency of the attacks, the ability to overpower 4 people in separate rooms within a matter of minutes, raises questions about how one person could accomplish this so quickly. The DoorDash driver who delivered food to Xana just minutes before the attacks has reportedly stated that she saw someone matching Kohberger's description near the house. Was he waiting outside, watching, timing his entry? This witness account adds another layer to understanding the timeline of events. There's also the question of how Kohberger knew the layout of the house. The home had 6 bedrooms across 3 floors. He navigated it in the dark, targeting specific rooms on different floors. Had he been inside before? Had he somehow gained access to the floor plan? Or did his multiple surveillance trips give him enough information to construct a mental map? These questions aren't meant to suggest that Kohberger is innocent. He pleaded guilty. The evidence against him is substantial. But they remind us that even in cases that seem solved, there can be elements that remain mysterious, details that don't quite fit into a neat narrative. As of September 2025, Bryan Kohberger is serving his life sentences at the Idaho Maximum Security Institution. He will never be released. He will spend the rest of his life behind bars, with nothing but his thoughts and the weight of his actions. In August 2025, over 500 pages of police documents were released to the public, providing new details about the investigation. These documents revealed the extent of the forensic work, the countless hours investigators spent building the case, and the meticulous attention to detail that ultimately led to Kohberger's arrest and conviction. The documents also revealed the condition of the crime scene, details that are difficult to read but important to understand. The attacks were savage and brutal. Some victims were described as being nearly unrecognizable due to the severity of their injuries. The coroner determined that the attacks occurred rapidly, with victims likely losing consciousness within minutes. The amount of blood at the scene was extensive, speaking to the violence of what occurred. These details aren't shared to be sensational or gratuitous. They're shared because they're the truth, and the truth, however painful, matters. These 4 young people didn't die peacefully in their sleep. They fought. They struggled. They experienced terror and pain in their final moments. Their reality should not be sanitized or softened. The University of Idaho community has worked to heal and remember. Scholarships have been established in the victims' names. Memorial services have been held. The house at 1122 King Road was eventually demolished, but plans for a memorial garden on the site are being developed. Dylan Mortensen and Bethany Funk have largely stayed out of the public eye, which is understandable given the trauma they experienced and the unfair scrutiny they received. Both have had to find ways to continue living with the knowledge that they were in the house when their roommates were killed, that they heard sounds they didn't understand at the time, that they survived when others didn't. The case has had lasting impacts on the true crime community as well. It's become a cautionary tale about the dangers of speculation, of rushing to judgment, of allowing theories to overshadow facts. In the weeks and months after the murders, countless amateur sleuths on social media accused innocent people, destroyed reputations, and caused additional pain to families already suffering unimaginable loss. It's also prompted discussions about the study of criminal justice and criminology. How do we ensure that people studying criminal behavior are doing so to prevent crime and help victims, not to better understand how to commit crimes themselves? What screening processes should be in place for people entering these fields? Bryan Kohberger's case raises uncomfortable questions about the nature of evil. He was educated, intelligent, from a good family. He had opportunities and advantages that many don't have. Yet he chose to commit acts of unspeakable violence. Why? What drives someone with every reason to contribute positively to society to instead destroy innocent lives? Psychologists and criminologists will study this case for years, trying to understand the motivations and thought processes that led to these crimes. But we may never have complete answers. Some aspects of human behavior remain beyond our understanding, resistant to analysis and explanation. What we do know is that 4 bright, promising young people had their futures stolen from them. Kaylee Goncalves, with her fierce independence and her plans to work in technology. Madison Mogen, with her warm heart and her dreams of fashion. Xana Kernodle, with her kind spirit and determination to make a difference. Ethan Chapin, with his gentle nature and his whole life ahead of him. They deserve to graduate, to start careers, to fall in love, to have families, to grow old. They deserve to experience all the joys and challenges and adventures that life offers. That opportunity was taken from them by someone who had no right, no reason, no justification for his actions. Their families will never fully heal. There will always be an empty chair at holidays, a missing voice in family gatherings, a hole that can never be filled. But they continue to honor their loved ones' memories, to share their stories, to ensure that Kaylee, Madison, Xana, and Ethan are remembered for how they lived, not just how they died. The case also serves as a reminder of the importance of thorough, professional investigation. The Moscow Police Department, working with state and federal agencies, conducted an exemplary investigation under enormous pressure and public scrutiny. They followed the evidence, built a solid case, and ultimately brought the person responsible to justice. It's a reminder, too, of the power of digital forensics in modern investigations. Cell phone data, surveillance footage, DNA analysis, genetic genealogy. These technological tools were crucial in identifying and apprehending Kohberger. Without them, the case might have remained unsolved indefinitely. The Selfie Kohberger took that morning, grinning and giving a thumbs up just hours after taking 4 lives, will haunt investigators forever. It represents something fundamentally broken in his psychological makeup, the ability to compartmentalize violence, to separate the act from the aftermath, to feel not remorse but satisfaction. As we close this comprehensive examination of the Idaho 4 case, it's important to acknowledge what we know and what we don't. We know that Bryan Kohberger committed these crimes. He admitted it in court. We know how he entered the house and the sequence of events that followed. We know about the evidence that led investigators to him, the DNA, the cell data, the surveillance footage, the eyewitness account. What we don't know with certainty is why. We don't know if he acted completely alone or if someone else had knowledge of his plans. We don't know if he targeted specific victims or if this was a crime driven by some other motive. We don't know what was going through his mind in the months he spent surveilling the house or in the moments before he entered it that night. These unknowns don't diminish the importance of the case being solved. They don't create reasonable doubt about Kohberger's guilt, but they remind us that even solved cases can contain mysteries. The human behavior can be complex and difficult to fully understand. For the families of the victims, the guilty plea and sentencing provide a measure of justice, even if it can't provide closure. There's no such thing as true closure after losing someone to violence. There's only learning to live with the loss, finding ways to honor their memory, and hoping that somehow, some good can come from tragedy. This has been the complete story of the Idaho 4 murders, told with accuracy, integrity, and respect for the victims and their families. At Dark Trail Files, we believe that truth matters, that details matter, that getting the facts right matters. We don't sensationalize. We don't speculate wildly. We research, we verify, and we present cases as thoroughly and accurately as possible. If you found value in this deep dive, if you appreciate true crime content that prioritizes accuracy over clicks, then please consider subscribing to Dark Trail Files. We're committed to bringing you the most comprehensive, well-researched content in the true crime space, while always honoring the memories of victims and their families. Remember, these aren't just stories. They're real lives, real families, real loss. Kaylee, Madison, Xana, and Ethan deserve to be remembered not as victims, but as the vibrant, promising young people they were. Until next time, stay safe, stay informed, and remember, the truth is always worth pursuing, even when it's difficult, even when it leaves us with more questions than answers. This is Dark Trail Files, signing off.